Here today with you in New York to talk about Star Wars books and comics. I'm so excited to introduce our amazing panelists, Stephen Barnes, Stephen Barnes, Zoraida, Guggenheim, Lydia, Kang, and Soule. Welcome, it's so great to have you here to reunite with most of you, to meet some of you. This is a great day. Now let's start with a fun icebreaker question. Since this year marks the 25th anniversary of The Phantom Menace, can you tell us the 25th anniversary of The Phantom Menace? Tell us your first or favorite memory of that film. Let's start down here on the end and work our way back. Charles.
You know, I think I have two, which is not what you asked. You asked for my favorite, but I have two favorites. Sorry. One is I was one of those people who stood in line for like 8 hours to buy tickets for some of those first showings. And I remember I was reading a book in line. I just like bought a hardcover book and I just read. It was Wizard in Glass by Stephen King. I don't know if you know that book. Yeah. And I just it's like 700 pages, and I read the whole book standing in line. And that was great. I went and saw it with my dad and my older brother. It was a big deal for us. But then the other one that was really cool was that I saw it again recently when it was re-released this May, I think. And I went with my wife and daughter, and Rosie had seen it. Rosemary's my daughter, and she had seen it on like whatever, streaming. But she had never seen it in the theater, and she was cracking up. She's like, "This movie's so good. Why do people and the thing that she thought was the best, no joke, Jar Jar Binks. That was really cool. I didn't we're playing jokes. Let's
see. So many things that I loved about it, but I would say, hands down, everything Darth Maul.
Yeah.
I got the actual movies and I could watch them at home. I think I rewatched every fight scene with him like 20 times. I couldn't like him, but it was amazing. And also everything that had me work. Everything.
Marc.
For me, I come from like a Star Wars family. I'm the oldest of three brothers. My middle brother and I had gone to see the original Star Wars with our father. My youngest brother wasn't alive, but and we're all on different coasts now. And what we all did was we all flew to New York. And I don't know if you guys remember, there's a great theater called the Ziegfeld. And we had 2 a.m. tickets, and it was just really, really great, especially to go with my brother and my father, who we'd all seen episode 4 together. So that's my.
Hello. I think for me it's just because it's the first Star Wars movie I got to see in the theater. The whole thing, I'm gonna cheat and say that. But specifically, I was just so enamored with Padme's storyline and being able to see her in all the different costumes and the reveal, that she was undercover on Tatooine with them. That was just so beautiful for me to be able to see her.
Woo! I think there were two things that I really like the pod race. I thought that felt more like Star Wars, it's in the sense that I totally surrendered. I was totally in the movie. I wasn't sitting in the theater anymore. I was watching. The other thing would be the fight between Darth Maul and Qui-Gon. That was some excellent choreography. Really nicely done.
Thank you all so much for sharing that insight into you and what makes you love Star Wars and love The Phantom Menace. Oh, personal favorite, the poster. It was fantastic. I think about that poster all of the time with the shadow and Darth Vader over Anakin. It is beautiful. It is well done. It's one of my favorite things. Carrying on. 2024 has been a big year for Star Wars publishing. We're over halfway through the final phase of the High Republic, and we've seen the conclusion of 2 epic comic runs with Marvel's Darth Vader and Star Wars. Charles, as you've been involved with both, can you tell us what this year's been like for you?
I mean, I've been writing the mainline Star Wars title alongside Greg Pak on the mainline Darth Vader title for. We started working on it before the pandemic. It was literally a different world, and excuse me for one moment, please. It's Park statue.
Hydrate.
Yep. So we started working on these stories, in 2018, 2019, some of them, and over the course of those years, 5 years, I've gotten to work with some of my favorite artists in all of comics. I got to do callbacks to some of my earlier stories with Star Wars 25. I got to do this beautiful, oversized, basically a graphic novel in and of itself with Madabek Musbakov of Star Wars 50. And I got to tell it in one of the coolest periods of Star Wars, like the timeline, as far as I'm concerned, which is that time between Empire and Jedi, when all of the characters were going through massive changes, except Han. He didn't really change very much during that time, but everybody else does in really massive ways. And those are the stories that I would tell my siblings and my friends on the playground. We like, what's going to happen with Luke? Is that actually his dad? All those things. I got to make those stories real, not just for myself, but for a gigantic audience of readers. So it was one of the most special times in my career. I'm so grateful that I got to work alongside so many great other writers and artists, including Marc Guggenheim. And it was, come on, like working in Star Wars is a dream, and then they put dreams on top of dreams on top of dreams, and this run was one of those.
You've written 4 Star Wars books and comics, and are you perhaps working on anything else for Marvel?
For Marvel Star Wars? Talking about Marvel Star Wars?
You tell me, this is your secret.
I was instructed that I'm not supposed to, that was not going to be acknowledged.
No.
I think you can tease. Okay, I will. So yes, I'm working on another Star Wars comic for Marvel. It is sort of both a look back and a look forward. It involves characters that I am sort of associated with in a way that you guys, I think, will be extremely excited about. The last time I talked about a book I was doing with one of these characters, the entire room gasped. And perhaps they will again when I find out what it is this time. So, but that's all I'm going to say, I think, at this point. It's very good.
Woo!
All right, then keep your secrets.
October is also Star Wars Reads Month, in which we promote literacy and storytelling through the books, comics, and magazines of a galaxy far, far away. Charles, you were also involved in a kickoff with teachers and students from across the country. Can you tell us about that? And also what it was like collaborating with your daughter on Jedi Brave in every way.
I would love to. I would also like to remind you there are other people on this panel.
Charles, you want to tell me how to do my job?
No, absolutely not. I apologize. Thank you for the opportunity. So I had one of the, again, like dreams on dreams on dreams, right? Like it's a dream cake. And one of the layers of that cake for me was writing this beautiful kids book with my daughter Rosemary, who I mentioned earlier. We wrote this when she was like 15, 16, and it's a story about how children can learn to be brave. You know, and that's the children in this story are Jedi younglings, but obviously it applies to all children everywhere. And one of the things that was so special about writing with Rosie is that she was much closer to being a kid of that age, like 6 years old, than I was. And so she was able to bring, like, you know, this is what it's actually like to be afraid of the dark. This is what it's like to be afraid of bugs, whatever. Like, you might not remember, but this is the way I thought about it. So it was beautiful to make the book. But then the thing that's also been really amazing is that Lucasfilm and Star Wars and Disney Publishing have been able to reach out to us to participate in events where we read the book to audiences of school children. Sometimes it's in person, sometimes it's sort of virtual. And we just did one of those about a month ago for, it was like, I don't know, 5,000 kids all over the country. All these different schools started coming onto this gigantic mega Zoom. And we read the book, we answered their questions. They had, you know, what are you guys afraid of? And they said a lot of interesting things the kids were afraid of. But it's, you know, Star Wars has always been for everybody. And this room is evidence of that, but also really being able to know that like little kids are connecting with a new set of Star Wars stories that I made with my own kid. You know, I mean, it was spectacular, it was beautiful, it was really good work, it was beautiful.
Thank you so much. Okay, let's talk about the High Republic. It's very near and dear to my heart. We started with Phase 1, Light of the Jedi, which was the middle of the story. We then went to Phase 2, Quest of the Jedi, to tell the beginning of the story. And now we're well into Phase 3, Trials of the Jedi, which tells our big ending. We've seen the noble and wise Jedi face off against the Marauders, known as the Nile, and force-eating creatures, known as the Nameless. The Jedi have been knocked around pretty good, and there's been significant amount of loss, but the Jedi never give up. For all the luminous authors, what have the last few years been like for you, Lydia?
They have been, I would say, actually pretty life-changing, just because I really entered into the Star Wars family like with open arms when I came in for Quest of the Jedi. I wrote Cataclysm, which is the sequel to Convergence. So I got to work with Charles, I got to work with Kevin and Zoraida and Mike and everybody, and it's been incredible. It's hard to explain what it's like to be behind the curtain of, these stories and these characters and this sort of entire world of good and evil, and be back there creating something. It is a dream come true. I didn't think I was going to be able to be in it, but here I am, and I'm still writing for it, and I have to say it's been extraordinary. The fans have been so welcoming. Like, I was actually kind of scared to write for you guys, to be honest, and all I have gotten is just so much love and so much like deep affection for the High Republic. So it's been wonderful. I'm just sad that it might come to an end because I can't believe we're in the Phase 3 part of this. It's a journey. It just blows my
It
mind.
doesn't feel like as long as it's been. And Zoraida, can you tell me a little what it's been like for you, just what the last few years have been like, and what is it versus what you imagined when you first signed on?
You know, my first Star Wars novel was A Crash of Fate, which is a tie-in to Galaxy's Edge. And so when I wrote that book, I was like, oh, cool, I did my Star Wars thing. And so getting to come back for the Republic Phase 2, that, I'm just going to copy Lydia and say it was pretty life-changing, not just because I got to write in the universe during this time period, but because I got a whole bunch of new friends. And Lydia and I would just text on world building stuff between the planets and Convergence and Cataclysm, I made her Google Sexy Thrawn. And so it's getting to just have that kind of camaraderie is my favorite part of the book industry, and then getting to see the fan art, which I sometimes people will just send it to me, and so those have been my favorite parts of writing in High Republic, friends and fandom.
That's to where we are now. The Jedi are putting all the puzzle pieces together about the Nameless and the Blood, and it looks like the Battle of Ariadne is ending. But let's take a quick step back and talk about Beware the Nameless, which came out this summer. Let's join me. Zoraida, what was the inspiration for this book? And tell us a little bit about what the Jedi go through.
So this book is a companion novel sequel, picks up right after Escape from Vallow by Daniel Jose Older and Alyssa Wong. And it is about a group of kids, some Jedi, some Republic associated, and a little Hutt, who, named Churro the Hutt, who gets stranded on, they answer a call on this planet that seems to have, oh, there he is. Churro. And they get stranded on this planet called Pelagosal, which is crawling with a couple of Nameless, and the Jedi don't react well to Nameless, so it's a good thing that the younglings have Zenny Greylark and Churro there to help them out. And so for me, this book was really about finding your courage, learning who you are in the face of absolute terror, which is what the Nameless are. And Star Wars for me, it helps me see the good in things. And so this book about little kids learning how to be brave is really, I got really emotional writing a young Hut that is a scaredy cat and loves and would rather, learn about bugs and insects in the galaxy than join his cartel family. And so, it's sort of about the possibility of who you can be if you really allow yourself to learn who that is. And I think that's a really powerful message for kids and something that I could have used as a little one myself.
So it's dark, but it's still hopeful.
It's dark, but it's hopeful, yes.
So I'm gonna ask a follow-up question that everyone wants to know. Tell us more about Churro the Hut.
Well, Churro the Hut, he gets to go on his first mission to assist his sister to do some nefarious deeds, and he sort of gets stranded himself, and he knows that he's carrying some precious cargo. He knows that he's not really supposed to like Jedi, but he's like, oh my god, Jedis are my friends, I'm so kind of cool. And his journey is one from being like a little cowardly Hut to being somebody who's an integral part of this crew. And to be honest, when I sent in my pitch for the outline to Story Group and to Mike and everybody, I was like, hear me out. What about a tween Hut who just wants to be what is it? Entomologist. Space entomologist. And they were like, okay, yeah, we can do that. So that's just Churro's origin story.
Thank you for that. Somebody better have a fan page for Churro by the time this panel is over.
And it's not the last we'll see of Churro. So.
I was easily calling emotional attachments to anyone in the High Republic, but I'll think about it. Now, the next book release is in the form of an audio original. Well, good, we're on the right thing. Tempest Breaker, written by Kevin Scott and coming from Random House Worlds, releases in December, while the focus is on the cunning Lorna D. It will also feature Keith Trennis and Avar Chris and Marcion Rowe. Where's the helmet? Yeah. Thanks for the cue. Now, as you can see, Lorna. There we go. As you can see, Lorna confronts Marcion Rowe, but maybe not how or where you expect. Luminous authors, anything you'd like to add here on Kevin's behalf?
Yeah, I mean, so where this book is set in the timeline is basically right running up against the end of Phase 3, so it's right before Trials of the Jedi. And so this is a moment where there's enormous tension in the galaxy. I mean, I hope many of you read Temptation of the Force, the incredible work by Tessa Gratton. Yeah, great stuff. But you know that leaves us at this real, pretty wild tension point. There's all, the blights around, the Nameless Star problem, there's all kinds of bad things happening. And so in the middle of that, you have these two, pretty villainous characters who are knocking heads against each other in a way that is quite cool and unique. And Kevin came up with a really fun way for Marcion and Lorna to sort of interact in the book. He also is an expert at doing these audio dramas, and it's there's sound effects, and it really feels like you're listening to a movie. So I've read this one, and it's we did a lot of talking back and forth to make it fit within the stuff that's going to be happening in Trials, and he did an awesome job. So this one's great. You should really look forward to it.
Now, let's talk about the High Republic Adventure Annual 2025 from Dark Horse. This is an anthology book, and we'll hear a little about it now and more during tomorrow's Dark Horse panel at 1:45 p.m. But let's take an early look inside. Zoraida, you have a story in the annual, and it looks like Churro is back.
Yes.
Can you tell us a little bit about it?
Can I just? Yeah. Okay. So in this one shot, Churro is in search of something. He's in search of a very rare mythical plant that he's read about in all the research that he does. And he goes off to this planet called Eridak, which was actually in A Crash of Fate. And he's in search of a way to heal Nal Hutta, because he's convinced that he needs to save the galaxy, and he needs to start at home. And so this is him journeying over there, and he's gonna meet an unexpected friend, and it is really like my love letter to Studio Ghibli in a way as well. So I'm just really excited for people to be able to see his adventure.
Charles, you also have a story in the annual. You're not writing alone.
No, so as you remember the story I told 5 minutes ago about when I wrote that book with my daughter, we really liked doing it, and we were very fortunate that Lucasfilm invited us to come back and write another story together. So we have written an 8-page short story as part of this High Republic annual that focuses on the 3 younglings from Jedi Brave having another adventure. So we know they survived at least that long. And in this story, they do something that I don't know that we've ever seen Jedi do before. They go to the movies. But it doesn't go well. So it's what was also particularly cool about this was that Rosemary has read comics. She is her father's daughter. She doesn't have a choice, kind of. But she's never written one, and so at least not this way. And so it was very cool for me as a dad to be like, well, this is what the lettering pass is. This is how you think about layouts. This is how you think about arranging the page. Like, offering up the skill set that I put together to help her. And it was also some dad-daughter stuff. She had her own opinions, as she should. But it was great. It was really an awesome experience that I'm very lucky that we got to do. So I'm grateful.
Thank you. Now, it doesn't say hold for applause on my card, but I was just going to insinuate. Lydia, you've written serialized fiction in the pages of Star Wars Insider. Can you tell us about those stories?
Sure. So these were so much fun to write, and they are ongoing right now. But I was able to take a bunch of characters. Some of them Jocelyn, Eva, Adrian from Phase 1, show up here, and a couple of added new characters who are getting stuck in the occlusion zone. And so I was inspired a little bit by Andor, because Andor is this gorgeous story where the Jedi are not prominently part of they're not the main characters, right? And so these are regular folks who are stuck in a terrible place and have to guide their way through the occlusion zone and everything, and they're dealing with things that they don't understand what's going on. So you can see Amon Calamari on the bottom left, who's in this weird thing. You have to read the story to find what that is all about. But I had a lot of fun adding to the biological background of Amon Calamari. It's really cool. So yeah, they're dealing with all sorts of things they've never seen before. They are incredibly stressed out. They don't have a lot of food. They don't have a lot of time, and they're figuring out how to get out of there. And in the next set of stories that are going to start in December, they conclude the story, and things are going to be blowing up. So stay tuned.
Can you tell us which characters are returning and maybe how your day job played into that?
Oh,
Dr. Lydia Kang.
am I allowed to say certain things? Well, those are out. So if you have read them, you will know that somebody's pregnant, and they're pregnant in the occlusion zone, and there's no OBGYN out there, so it's a little stressful. So we had to incorporate that a little bit. We had to incorporate the fact that they're dealing with pathogens that they've never dealt with, and they don't have a lot of help. So that is going to somehow get resolved. We'll see if people actually survive, but then again, it's kind of covered. So more to come.
Thank you. Now, since Cav couldn't make it, let's show the first 2 covers to Marvel's High Republic series that returns early next year. Can we just talk about Lorna coming into her power? Maybe she's a little evil. Maybe she has some tendencies towards the whatever, but she looks good. Now, since Justina Ireland couldn't make it, I'm going to reveal the cover to her upcoming middle grade novel. Here's the cover to A Valiant Vow, which sees Emery, Tep-Tep, and J6 back in Storm's Star Wars. They'll be fine. They'll be fine. All right, let's do one more. Because Claudia couldn't be here, I'm proud to reveal the cover to Into the Light, which binds Reef Unkashik along with the Nile and the Blight. Things aren't looking Charles, we're not going to reveal the cover to Trials of the Jedi because we do have to save some things for later. But we do have some more visuals that you can share, correct? Charles, tell us about these Jedi in armor. Is that Avar, Elzar, Bell, Burry, and Aslan?
Yeah, Aslan. Wait a minute. He's a jerk. What is he doing there? Okay, so one of the things that we wanted to do from the very beginning of this is this. So you know that the High Republic started with these meetings at Skywalker Ranch, where the original 5 architects of the High Republic, and Mike Lane and people from LUCASFILM Story Group, got together and we talked about the things that we wanted to see in this. And one of the things was Jedi Knights wearing like incredibly beautiful and incredibly necessary armor. And yes, right, that guy likes armor, it's cool. But here's the thing, right? So Jedi don't wear armor. It's part of their whole deal. Yes, Obi-Wan wore some in the Clone Wars, whatever. But generally speaking, they don't, because they have their lightsaber and they don't need to. And I think it's kind of part of their ethos that they open themselves up to what happens. They're not warriors, etc. So, but here they are, right? Which means there must be a situation that is so tense and terrible and dramatic and life-threatening that they have to wear armor. They have to go to a place that they have not gone before. And that last little part, the Jedi going places they haven't gone before, is literally and figuratively all of Trials of the Jedi. So when I was writing that book, which is done, it's not done. I got some notes from like Mike and people that I guess I have to do. But since he doesn't have a microphone, I feel very comfortable talking this way. So I will be able to, I'll do passes and things like that. But the book, it's like you could read it. People have read it, and I've gotten feedback on it, and the feedback's been great, which has been really nice. But for me, it was about the High Republic was taking Jedi to a place we hadn't seen them before, which was in this era of beauty and joy and power in the Force and everything that we all know if we check out the High Republic. So for the final book, what I wanted to do was to do it again, right? To put the Jedi in places that we hadn't seen them before, right? They are drawing on all of their strength, all of that unity, all of that power that they have in these High Republic stories, but it literally might not be enough. And they know it, and for some of them it won't be enough, and it ends up being the way that I described it to the group when I was telling them what Trials of the Jedi felt like was a cycle. Right, which is a motif that's been present throughout the entire High Republic initiative, these storms. And so when you think of a tornado, which unfortunately we probably all thought more about recently than we ordinarily would, with the world being the way it is, you have a tornado that at its top, it's wide, there's all kinds of things swirling around. There's all these different events, all these different things happening, which is how the first chunk of Trials of the Jedi works. There's all of these different events that have all been built up and set up by all of the other stories, and so the state of the galaxy is kind of this total chaos wave. But as the book continues, some of those get resolved, some of those change, some of those melt together, and the sort of the cone of the tornado gets narrower and narrower. But as that happens, the winds get faster and faster and faster and more intense, right? And so as we get down toward the end of the book, to these last moments, literally everything, every character that you have fallen in love with, that you've read stories about, that you've learned to care about, that you miss, everyone from Churro to Avar, all of their lives come down to like 4 or 5 pages toward the end of the book. And you will feel it, and you will be like, that is how you're going to feel. That is what I wanted this book to be, and that is the book that I think I've written. I can't see if Mike's nodding over there, I hope he is. It's
here.
What? Mike's not here?
Mike's not here.
Fair enough. So that's what the book is. I am incredibly excited for people to read it. It's out in June. I'm sure that there will be reveals and chapters and this and that come out between now and then. But mostly it was about giving to you guys what you've earned for supporting this initiative and these stories for so long, for all these years since we started back in 2021 with Light of the Jedi. We don't want to go out like not on a high note, And I think everybody, all of these final stories, we're all writing them to feel like the way you felt when you read the first stories back in 2021. So that's it, I guess, for now.
And I know we can find out more in the Art of the High Republic, Volume 2 from superstar Kristen Baver. This 2 and 3, so you don't want to miss this. Let's move a little further down the timeline. But which is an acolyte tie-in novel from Justina Ireland and Random House Worlds. As a reminder, this takes place well before the events of Season 1, but that's not our only acolyte book. Here's the cover to the Crystal Crown from author This book is on Padawans Yor and Jackie Priest-Show, obviously.
It's too soon.
And now let's come to the prequel era and Mr. Stephen Barnes. Can you tell us what it's been like to return to a galaxy far, far away?
Look, man, when I first saw the first coming attraction for Star Wars, I was not impressed because it was kind of washed out, it was kind of old. I thought, But the first instant that the Star Destroyer crossed the screen in the theater room, I was like, oh my God. There's never been anything like Star Wars. I've been a science fiction fan my entire life. And Star Wars is science fantasy, but no one had ever used effects like that in a heroic story. So I was, every Star Wars movie since, except for the first one, I've seen on the first day. And I love it. I probably don't love it as much as some of you guys here, but I respect it hugely, and I respect your enthusiasm. I have things that I have, just total enthusiasm for. I wake up in the middle of the night and think, I'd like to do X. So when I wrote the first novel, when I was asked to do the first one, Cestus Deception, I took it really seriously. I knew that I would have to face you guys and say, did I do my best? Did I respect your dream? I'm a guest at your table in that sense. So when 20 years later, I'm exiting a writer's room in Hollywood for the Friday the 13th television series with Brian Fuller, and on my way home, from like the last day of that, I get a call from my agent asking would I be interested in writing a new Star Wars novel. And I thought about that. I thought that there are a lot of ways that could go wrong. But I could see some things I could do that if I could do them, I would love it so much. I would be getting up early in the morning. I'd be thinking about it late at night. I'd be putting that kind of passion into it. So talking to the editor, I spoke my concerns of what it was I wanted to do. And she was in favor of what it was I wanted to do. And then I talked with the Lucasfilm people. We had a little back and forth, but I let them know, if you will do this, if you will let me do what it is I want to do here, I will bring everything I have. And I would not hold anything back. It's like, it would be that question, what is the absolute, there were 3 different things I wanted to do. Write a really good Star Wars novel, write a really good science fiction novel, write a really good Star Wars. Each of those has slightly different things. Where they overlap, I thought there'd be something that the fans would enjoy. That I could do something that would touch your hearts. And if I could do that, then it would have been worth my time and yours, more important. So what it was an opportunity to play in one of the absolute best sandboxes that anybody has ever created in the history of the world. And I took that responsibility very seriously.
Can you tell us a little bit more about why Mace is so important to you and to the Jedi?
Well, because I like Sam Jackson. Who I have met and was the coolest human being I have ever met in my life. He did not disappoint at all. Aside from that, Mace, in terms of the film, it's kind of a cipher a little bit. There's a lot to be done in terms of filling it out. It would be dishonest for me to say that I'm not interested in the fact that he's a black Jedi. I mean, how can I not factor that in? So that was a factor. Of course, it's in a universe in which that doesn't matter at all, but it matters in this universe. So we're looking at the story. How do I navigate this territory in the story where it doesn't matter, but also touch on aspects of the way that it matters in our world, the readers get that. So what you have is this incredibly powerful, arguably one of the most powerful Jedi ever, who hadn't been sketched out, hadn't been filled in as a character in some critical ways. I've said this scene is not in the book, by the way, but what I said is that the previous people who written Mace Windu could never imagine him dancing naked in his kitchen making pancakes. But humans do stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? That they can see the authoritarian, they can see the deadly warrior, they can see the man who can send Jedi off to kill and die, but they couldn't imagine his heart. And so I saw, can I do this? Can I create something that handles all those different levels at the same time? And to be really clear about it and make it a book that I wish I could have read when I was young, that I would want to read today. But there are periods in your life that are developmental, when you're asking yourself, there are only two things to write about in art. Who am I and what is true? What are human beings and what is the world that they see? And we look to fiction to help us understand some of those things. So there's nothing trivial about fantasy. There's nothing trivial at all. It's some of the most important things that we can do for ourselves and our children, our hearts, and our kids inside us. Okay? So for those reasons, I knew that if I was 15 years old, if I was 25 years old, that a Mace Windu book that said this is the human being who could do these amazing things, and this is why he does these amazing things, and this is why he has chosen to be a Jedi and makes that choice every day of his life. That if I could do that, I knew I'd be doing something that was good for the mythos and good for the fans. And that's what I tried to do with all my heart. I needed fandom. There was a period in my life when I needed a tribe. I needed a family. And science fiction fandom welcomed me. I didn't know how I was going to make it in the world. I mean, a lot of you probably have that feeling. Where the hell do I fit? And the moment when Star Wars became what it is, as far as I'm concerned, was in the first movie when Luke is in the Death Star trench, and all the special effects are flashing, and the music is thundering, and Grandma Park is saying fire up the laser, and Carrie Fisher with the cinnamon buns on the side of her head, looking very pensive, and Luke's friends have been blown away, and Darth Vader is coming in, he's by himself, and in the midst of all of this overwhelming future shock, in which human beings are totally dwarfed by space stations the size of a planet, you hear a voice saying, trust your feelings. That in the midst of this world, we still matter. My God, that is a spiritual moment. That's George Lucas choreographed an epiphany. That is, he deserves his $1 billion.
It is interesting. We are this family in the galaxy brought together by Star Wars, and you don't always get along with all your family members, but you love each other at the end of the day, and you treat each other with respect and decency and kindness, and I hope that even in this room and as we leave today, we always keep that close to our hearts. And we're always going to share a love and passion for something that is so deep that it is almost religious, so that is very, very cool. Now, tell us about The Glass Abyss, which is out now. Can you tell us what's the adventure that Mace is involved in, and how it ties into the Phantom Menace?
Okay, so Qui-Gon Jinn dies in the Phantom Menace, but
So sorry, I'm so sorry.
which he lives and grows up in ways and daisies. He had been involved with pursuit of an assassin, in which he had an outlying planet called Menegos at the rim of the galaxy, and he almost died because he underestimated the person who was controlling this planet. And he was saved by a group of people who live in the underground, and especially a woman named Kinshan Nightbird. And in return for saving his life, he owes her a favor, which he never lived to fulfill. So he passes that favor to Mace, because Mace owes him, because Mace lost a game of Dejarik to him. Where the bet was whoever wins gets a favor from the other one. And so Mace is going to fulfill this to go to this planet, because the planet is being controlled by two families of gangsters that are about to do terrible things. And so he enters into this situation, and it's a situation that is far more complicated, far more dangerous than he has any reason to expect it to be. And it will test him absolutely to every aspect of his mind, his body, his heart.
Now, we have not done with the Jedi just yet. I feel like we haven't talked to Marc enough. Marc, do you have some news to announce from Marvel?
What?
Do you have some news to announce from Marvel?
Yeah, I do. So I am announcing my very first ongoing Star Wars title. It's called Star Wars Jedi Knights. I'm having so much fun with this book, I can't even begin to tell you. It's basically, it takes place, prior to the Phantom Menace. Jedi are, basically being awesome. And I've structured the book like, it's like Marvel 2-in-1 or Marvel Team Up or Brave and the Bold with Jedi. So each issue, you will see different combinations of Jedi, all basically doing really cool, badass Jedi things. What's fun is each issue is self-contained. So it's a little mini Star Wars movie every month. Madabek, I'm not gonna say his name, it's probably too big. Yeah, whatever. Anyway, Madabek is our artist. He was the artist on the Star Wars mainline book. Luis Guerrero is our incredible colorist. And the name of this gentleman who drew this incredible wraparound cover is, I just know him as Raza. I don't know if he's like Prince or Madonna, like he only has one name. But he's outstanding. We're really swinging for the fences with this one. There's going to be familiar Jedi who you've seen, like we've got an issue coming up with Yaddle that actually ties. Yaddle. Yeah, give it up for Yaddle. Into the Sith Lord episode of Tales of the Jedi on Disney Plus. Subscribe today. There's, like I said, there's new Jedi. One of the ones I'm most excited about is a character named Vecna Mooncrest. I don't know if she's the first disabled Jedi, but she's one of the few disabled Jedi. We're doing an issue where we're introducing basically the Star Wars equivalent of kaiju to the galaxy far, far away in an issue that is all splash pages. So we want to give Madabek the most room to be as chaotic as we know he can be. Okay, now I'm going to test all of you. We're going to see how good Star Wars fans you are. Issue 2 is going to feature the first in-canon appearance of Aetha Prime. Ha! I stumped all of you. Okay, so after Return of the Jedi, Kenner, who made all the action figures, they came up with a whole new line with a whole new group of villains and heroes and a whole new storyline called The Epic Continues. And in an issue that is now, I see, very appropriately called The Deepest Cut, we will see the first in-canon appearance of Aetha. Anyway, lots of fun stuff. I'm having a blast with it. Madabek is killing it. He's drawing every single issue. And it'll be out sometime? I don't know when it's going. But sometime.
Soon. Let's look at some variant covers, because they really want you to see them. Can you tell us a little bit about these variant covers?
Okay. I'll be honest with you. I don't know the artist.
Oh.
What? Oh, that's Tori. Oh, wow. Okay, so this is by Tori Marc. I should have recognized this stuff because I worked with him on a Planet of the Apes film. And Siva is on the left. She's one of our newer Jedis. What's the name of the guy on the right? I think his name Grogu. It's Grogu. Kidding. It's Yoda. But those are awesome. Tori's an incredible artist, as you can see. Let's go to the next one. Before I screw up even more.
Is it the opening
Okay,
spread?
so this is we literally opened with a bang. We opened with a double page spread. Even though I said it's like Marvel Team Up where it's 2 Jedi usually, I wanted the first issue to start off with a bang. So we have a whole mess of Jedi in the first issue that's exercised in 25 pages. It's actually a story that I had come up with right during the anniversary of D-Day. So it's kind of inspired by the events of D-Day, and it gave me an opportunity to sort of tell a story about how the Jedi, they're not an army, they're not soldiers, as Space Windu likes to remind Palpatine, but they are called upon to get involved in the internecine wars between worlds, and it's a little bit, I guess the moral of the story is don't judge a book by its cover. You can judge the comic by its cover. The cover's really good. Yeah, like I said, that's Maddox and Luis, basically just killing it.
That's everything we have in store for today, but we have a few extra minutes. So, panelists, what are you most looking forward to in 2025 that you haven't written? Starting with you, Steve.
I'm working on a radio play, just for fun. I'm going to produce with my family. My son and my daughter are both actors, so it's going to be like old-time radio, like The Shadow or The Whistler, that kind of thing. And then I'm working on a screenplay that is going to bifurcate. One level will be, well, actually, guys, might be interested in this, that my agent has specifically asked me to write a script that they can send to Lucasfilm to try to get these Let me see here. And the other I tend to write my novels as screenplays first, for a number of different logistical reasons. And all I'll say about it is imagine Enter the Dragon written by directed by David Cronenberg. It's a martial arts body horror piece that I want to do that has some really interesting elements in it. So that's what I'm looking forward to.
Wonderful. Zoraida, can you tell us what you're looking forward to?
I mean, I'm looking forward to all the final novels in our initiative. I'm gonna just binge them all with a box of tissues and hope that Charles doesn't kill everybody.
That's like final. It makes it sound so final. Marc, what are you looking forward to?
I'm looking forward to Andor Season 2. And because I do feel compelled to give a non-Star Wars answer, Scott Turow is publishing a sequel to Presumed Innocent called Presumed Guilty that I'm really looking forward to. So
I'm also looking forward to Andor Season 2. My husband, who is not here, wishing he was here, is actually at home re-binging Season 1 to get ready. And I'm super excited for the accolade. Super excited to revisit these characters. Yay.
Yay indeed. I have two things I'm going to say. First of all, I am aware of the next thing Marvel Comics is doing, and Marc obviously talked about his book, but there's some other stuff, and I think that is going to all be super, super cool. Not just the thing I'm doing, because Christina was very clear, it's not about stuff I'm doing, it's about stuff other people are doing. It's a very cool line of things that I think there's something for everybody in a really smartly done way, and I'm very excited about the stories being told there. The other thing I'm really excited about, and I think and hope I'll be there, is Star Wars Celebration. It's But it had been 2 years. A lot of stuff has happened in those 2 years in the Star Wars world. It's in Japan, which is a place I would be very excited to hang out and talk Star Wars with people and meet fans from different parts of the world. And I think that counts because there's a lot of work that goes into making one of those Star Wars celebrations, and I don't have to do any of it. So.
I didn't write any of these books, but you know what I'm looking forward to? All of these books. I actually know exactly what I'm looking forward to, and it's stories from Captain Scott, and I'm very excited to see where his story goes because I'm emotionally and personally invested. And also Valiant Val because I love the middle grade books, and I feel like they don't get the shine that they deserve, but the middle grade books are so good, and they have so much story and tragedy and sadness, but there's more hope. And we love hope in Star Wars. So, you know. And with that, we conclude our panel. Area in Hall 1A in about 30 minutes. So come down, say hello, take pictures, we'll sign stuff, all that fun stuff. And thank you. Thanks for reading, and may the force be with you.